specialist, serial entrepreneur, professional counselor, philanthropist, recognized globally as a specialist in helping organizations unlock the potential of their human capital. He's a success coach to executives and behavior analysis. He's an organizational cultural change specialist. He's a mischief maker. Come on now. Corporate trainer, Rosetta Stone history expert, magazine publisher, recipient of numerous awards, citations, and honors, motivational consultant, mentor to pro athletes, award-winning filmmaker, solutionist, critical incident debriefing coach, photographer, life motivated by curiosity and experiences ongoing love-hate relationship with technology. By the way, he's a group tour leader to Israel and Greece. And I know Myron and Dr. Myron Golden and his wife Tony had a great time in Greece learning so many things. He says also that he's devoted husband, father, off-key singer, and extremely bad dancer. But this is the brother like no other, Dr. Joel Freeman with the Freeman Institute. And what an incredible day to have you on the call, Doc. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the leadership.
Dr. Harris, I call that the resume obituary type stuff. It's great to be here this morning.
Man, it's great to be. Dr. George Fraser and others, man, just they have you at the big conferences. And years ago, I was teaching at Bible college, and I was teaching on the role of blacks in Scripture. And somebody said, "Man, have you ever heard of Dr. Joel Freeman?" I was like, "Well, no." They said, "Man, you need to hear about this guy." He's like, "Well, he's a white guy and he teaches on stuff like you teach." I was like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Well, no, he can't be a white guy. He's just a brother from another mother. That's what he is." But man, you are incredible, man. We've met so many times, and I just followed what you do. And thank you so much for the difference that you make. And so here on our leadership call, just wanted to interview you a little bit, just share some of your experiences, because I know years ago, man, it started off, you was kind of a hippie with a fro.
That's true. It was I left home when I was 17 years of age. And I stuck my thumb out, just started hitchhiking around North America, and long-haired hippie, dope-smoking fool, and just going from town to town, and ended up traveling. By the time I was 18, I had already hitchhiked about 5,000 or 6,000 miles around North America, and it's I'm extraordinarily grateful, but for God's kindness, His mercy, and it was quite an experience. The only regret I had is the heartache I brought to my parents, but we worked that out much later, and they became my best friends.
Wow. Well, man, how in the world did you go from all that to accomplishing and allowing God to work through you? I know you even pastored for a while, and so talk to us a little bit about this journey, and because you've got a fascinating life.
Well, I had a conversion experience in September 10th, 1972, and that was, I would say, a pivotal point in my life, because the trajectory at that point was I was going to go back out west. I was going to be I was going to work on a Arctic weather ship for about 6 months, take the money, and then buy some land up in northern Canada, $10 an acre, and just homestead, find a woman that would like that kind of lifestyle, and that's what I was going to do, get off the grid. And I got converted and signed up for Bible school the very next day, and it was just truly a 180-degree change on many levels. And then after I was in Bible school, it just became really clear that I was to pastor. So I did that for 18 years, and then when I was 25 years of age, I was offered the opportunity to become the chaplain for the Washington Bullets. I had no mentor. I didn't know what to do, and I just knew I had to love these guys and had to be a place of confidence for them. And that's really where my interest in Black history came, is because a lot of the guys that I worked with, of course, are African descent, and their position in life, players at the NBA level, their position in life attracts a lot of insincere people. And so it was something where they were just kind of testing the seams of my soul. They started asking questions. What did Jesus look like? And what part did people of African descent play in biblical history and extra biblical history? And I didn't have a clue. So it forced me to start studying. And that's kind of where my whole journey in that regard was launched.
Wow. Now you probably have the largest collection of African American studies and artifacts and so forth. They're connected, and also your powerful books that you've come out with. I mean, I don't know how many different television and shows and radio and newscasts, but God has just used you in a unique way because folk can't figure out why would a guy like you be teaching on this history.
Yeah, there's when I get up to speak on this topic, the very first thing I do when I grab the microphone is let's say I'm in an audience of 5,000 people, and I'm pretty much the only Caucasian in the building, and the first thing out of my mouth is how many here like comic books? How about cartoons? And of course, everyone thinks it's kind of like a trick question. But few, hands go up, and I say, when someone has a thought bubble, and they have these little thought bubbles, and then it makes a big thought bubble, and there's what that person's thinking is in that big thought bubble. Then I pause and I survey the whole audience, almost to the point of embarrassed silence. I say, man, I'm seeing a whole lot of thought bubbles in this room. And just about every one of them says, what the heck is that white guy from Canada doing with the microphone in his hand to talk about Black history? And I say, I don't have a very good response to that question, but I hope you hear not just the words, but I hope you hear the music, which is the passion, the believability, and the sincere heart. And that's kind of how I open up every talk.
Wow. Well, Doc, and then, you've got this unique way also, like I say, you're also a serial entrepreneur. We've done some different endeavors together. I know for Successimo, you were one of our powerful content providers, and also I know with Kingdom Wealth Alliance now using your content, but this entrepreneurial journey and your understanding, your grasp of it, and your ability to teach it, and especially that's why I wanted to invite you on this leadership call. We've got these entrepreneurial leaders, who love the Lord, and you just have a unique message and way of teaching and inspiring and empowering people in the entrepreneurial situation as well.
Yes, I think it's an important thing, especially when we consider how we all have desires to want to help people.
Right.
I've never, I just have traveled around the world in many places, and I realize the needs are everywhere, and we have to be so open to God to know how to help and who to help and when to help. There's just so many different layers to that, but to have a heart that's open to help, and so I view an entrepreneurial spirit as an opportunity for an individual to be able to step away from the normal approach to life. And I say normal in terms of a corporate job, and I'm not against a corporate job. I think there's corporate entrepreneurs, and there's seasoned entrepreneurs, there's pre-entrepreneurs, there's budding entrepreneurs, and there's just all kinds of different ways to be entrepreneurial. But I think it's that spirit that breaks loose and begins to think of doing things in a different way, is wide open. Maybe while on the line at the bank or some other place, and you hear someone grumbling or complaining, two people back or two people in front, and the next thing you know, you've got an idea that emerges because they're complaining, and you're there as a problem solver, and you're thinking, wow, I could solve that problem. Then you begin to do some research and find out that the X number of percentage of people in America have that problem. And then the creativity starts kicking in to be that problem solver for that particular situation. A quick story. A woman I believe in Philadelphia, she spent all her time studying to become a financial planner. She became a great one. Worked for a banking institution and had a high net worth player. He was a pitcher for the Phillies, and he was one of her clients. And so one day, as they're having small talk in their quarterly session together about his finances, he started talking about his dog and his dogs, and he said, and as it just kind of came out, he says, one thing I dislike about my dogs is I have to clean up the dog poop in the backyard periodically, and I just dislike that. So she was quiet, and between that moment and the next quarterly meeting, she began to think about it. And so the next meeting, by the way, if you had someone that came to clean up your dog poop, would you be interested? Oh, yes, and I know a bunch of people. Who else? I know another bunch of other friends. Next thing you know, she starts a company. All she needed was some Glad plastic bags, a super duper pooper scooper, and her little sports car. And she started cleaning up. Within 3 years, she had $1 million business, had 9 employees, and it all came out of solving someone else's problem.
Wow. And that's the true essence of an entrepreneur. And of course, that's what the whole Uplyftt is all about, because of social media, the negativity and so forth. And that's, again, one of the things I love about you. Your posts are always so positive, and you always have this way of like understanding, like taking in both sides and looking at it, to understand it and say, okay, well, look, what about if we look at it this way? And so that's and Uplyftt is all about, again, family safe social media platform and tying in the entrepreneurial spirit into that. And so that's why I thought, man, it'd be just excellent to have you on the call with our leadership team. And so, again, thank you for agreeing to come on the call. We've got about 7 minutes left before we close out. That's why I said, man, we got to have you back. I mean, this is not, but you got to tell us about these edges. I know Myron was just telling me, ranting and raving. First of all, he said, man, I bought everything Dr. Freeman has. He said, thank you for telling me about the guy. He said, I bought everything he has. He says, then, he went on this trip, to Greece, and I know you take these educational tours, but tell us about some of those that you do as well.
Yes, what sponsored that? I need another gig, like I need a hole in the head. I just I'm very, very careful about what I do and how I spend my time. And I just began to I went to Israel one time way back, and the only regret I had was that I hadn't gone sooner. And that's when I told my kids, I told my kids, when you're 15, you can go anywhere in the world with Dad. And so all 4 kids, we went different parts of the world. My oldest son, he's now 39, he chose Israel. And so we went there for 20 days. We had a wonderful time, very educational. That launched something inside of me. Because you see, Mark Twain said it well in his book, Innocents Abroad. It was published in 1869. And he took a tour of the whole region around the Mediterranean. And he went to Palestine area, Israel. He went to Egypt. And it became a bestseller. But there's a paragraph. He says, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. And many people need it sorely on those accounts. You can't expand your mind by vegetating in one corner of the earth all one's lifetime. That statement is what really has hit me hard about the benefits, just one of the many benefits of travel. So once I began to go to Israel and then to Greece, I began to realize this could be a tangible way, like a 10, 11-day trip for people to begin to get in touch with the land of the Bible. And so I began to do tours, and now I do 2 a year, every spring and every fall. The only reason I do it in spring and fall is it's just the best weather. And also in Israel, there's no holidays during those times, and so it's easier to get around. And then thirdly, I've watched how Hamas and Hezbollah operate, and they generally start ramping up around late April all the way around to early September. So if one is doing a crapshoot, it is the safest time to go to Israel. but the heat is just unbearable other times, or the cold during other times of the year. So we go to Israel, and it's up in the north, Galilee, Megiddo, Nazareth. We go up to the Syrian border. We go down south to Dead Sea region. Our guide is probably the largest date plantation owner in all of Israel. And then we go to Jerusalem for the rest of the time, in and around Jerusalem, Gethsemane, and all the different places. It just makes the Bible come alive. The reason I do Greece is because I want to then see how the gospel moved from Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, into the uttermost part of the earth in Acts 1:8. And so it's I've studied, taken a Yale course on ancient Greek history, and we have a wonderful guide. Her name is Angeliki, and she is just a stone cold genius. And so we just begin to understand the Greek heart and mind and what it took. And of course, on Mars Hill, we see how Paul approached the Epicureans and the Stoics, and it's different from how he approached the Jews, because the Jews already had the Torah and the Tanakh and all the different things that they understood. And so his approach to them was just to talk about the Messiah and how Jesus was the Messiah. And then with the Greeks and the Hebrews, the Greeks and other Gentiles, he approached them totally differently. He talked about the Creator and how this is like a giant tract that God handed every morning. Here, I am alive. And then to move from there to Jesus Christ and the resurrection, the crucifixion and resurrection. So it's just a fascinating approach. And we go to Corinth. We go to take a 3-day cruise. We go to Ephesus, which is one of the most awe-inspiring places on the planet. You actually see the giant arena where Paul, they almost killed Paul. 25,000 people came in there to kill Paul. And you're there in the arena. And so it just brings the lands of the Bible alive. And that's my whole purpose, is when people leave, that they want to start studying the scriptures, not just studying it, but seeing it. And that's what drives me in all of this. So that's thank you for asking that. It's a passion of mine. I hope you hear the music when I talk about it.
Oh, most definitely, man. Most definitely. So again, I tell you, you're just incredible, man. And the fact you spoke, I mean, I don't know how many different companies, Fortune 500, have brought you in to speak. And like I say, you're just so varied, different experiences that you have. And I love the one book I know I had, Nobody Loves You, Create a Demand. That was just incredible. And then, of course, the book, The White Man's Journey into Black History. I mean, you just got so much, Doc. So we got to get you back, man, because, time is just conking out here. But I got to bring Pastor Kenny. I don't know if you wanted to ask him a quick question. Pastor Kenny Smith, you want to come up here? And has this not been a fascinating discussion with this gentleman?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's just been a pleasure to listen to all the accolades and everything that he's done. I mean, Dr. Freeman, so glad to know you from a distance. And we look forward, Uplyftt is all about, spreading those good, positive things across the world. And that seems to be what you do every day of your life. And so we're so glad to have you on board. We look forward to having you back to talk more about some of the things that you've done with your life when it comes down to inspiring people and taking them to your story from coming from dope smoker, wanderer to your incredible story today inspires us all. So thank you for being with us on today.
Thank you. It's my honor and privilege to be here. Thank you very much.
Well, if somebody wants to contact you, Doc, or go to a website, what do you recommend?
Well, I'll give out my website probably is 4 words, joelspeaksrealgood.com. And it's Joel, Joel, speaksrealgood.com. I'll just give my cell number, too, if anyone wants to talk. It's 410-991-9718. 410-991-9718. Thanks a lot.
All right, man. So how soon can I?
And of course, we got it.
Man?
By the way, I'll just say this: we had an Israel trip coming up in February, March, and if you go to israelcrazy.com and you're interested, give me a holler, and we got a few more seats left. israelcrazy.com.
Wow.
Need to call me
Well, man,
today if
again,
you're interested.
Okay.
Thank you.
IsraelCrazy.com. Again, that's Israel, Israel, crazy, CRAZY.com. I'm looking at that now, the Holy Land Trip 2019. And anyway, so, man, we're looking forward to it. And as we have different conferences, different things that we have with Uplyftt, of course, you'll be one of the guys that we bring in and so forth. And I want them to get a little taste of you. And so thank you again, Dr. Freeman, and God bless you. And Pastor Kenny,
thank you.
This is incredible.
All right. Well, I'm excited. I'm going to look at this website and see if I can put some quarters together and some nickels and dimes, see if we can get out there and see Israel. Praise God. Amen. We look forward to working with you on a very close basis there, Dr. Freeman. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.